5:30 p.m. I am going to go ahead and call to order the LPA meeting. Madam Clerk?
Roll call. Councilman Werner.
Here.
Councilman Gleason.
Present.
Councilwoman Leonard. Vice Mayor Langowski.
Present.
Mayor O'Connor.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or modifications? If not, may I have a motion?
Move approval of the agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilman Werner, seconded by Councilwoman Leonard. Roll call. Councilman Werner.
Yes.
Councilman Gleason.
Yes.
Councilwoman Leonard.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Let's move on to the consent agenda. This section of the agenda consists of routine or administrative items that require final approval by the city council and may be approved in its entirety by a single motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless a council member requests such, at which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on a future agenda. May I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Gleason, seconded by Councilman Werner. Roll call. Councilman Gleason.
Yes.
Councilwoman Leonard.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Werner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This is a public hearing item. Ordinance number 2025-06. It is a text amendment change to allow for cottage homes. Do we have a staff presentation?
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Osnia Leon, planner for the city of Westlake. Before you is ordinance number 2025-06. This is first reading. This is a privately initiated text amendment. So the change being proposed is for chapter 101. They're adding, proposing to add definition for cottage homes. It's a type of single-family attached dwelling in a two-lot Z-lot configuration with common driveway and parking area in the rear from a public or private access easement or alley. Unless separate standards for cottage homes are specified, standards for development or single-family attached dwelling units shall apply to cottage homes. Also, under Chapter 117, subdivision and site development standards, they're being introduced minimal standards for access and circulation systems. Vehicle circulation system, the ordinance reads as common driveway and parking area may be utilized for legal access to a group of not more than 8 abutting cottage homes. That is 4 sets of cottage homes in 2-lot configuration, sharing a single common driveway and parking area. The common driveway and parking area must be accessible from a residential access road or other approved right-of-way and shall be delineated and dedicated or reserved on the applicable plat for purpose of perpetual access to lots served. For purpose of this subsection, lots separated only by a common driveway and parking area shall be considered abutting. Under table 119-31, the new regulations for the cottage homes is being reflected for the minimal lot width of 25 feet, minimal lot square feet footage 2,500, minimum setbacks 10 feet for the front, for the side as well, and the rear would be 5 feet. Minimum separation would be 10 feet. Rear yard setback 10 feet. Minimum building height 36 feet, and maximum lot coverage of 65%, with the minimum pervious percentage of lot 20%. There's a note also, the minimum pervious percentage for each residential lot shall be 20%. The minimum pervious percentage of the parcel total land as set forth in the master site plan or site plan if not subject to a master site plan shall be 25%. This will be reflecting also under the R2 district, same regulations. The note here says minimum side yard setback for single family attached and cottage homes with no more than 2 attached units shall be reduced to 5 feet. These are conceptual plans submitted by the applicant to kind of show and illustrate the new product being introduced. So on the left, we have a product called Villas, and on the right is cottage configuration. And I believe the applicant has a presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Applicant?
Mr. Mayor, as soon as I get my presentation queued up, I will go ahead and get started. Well, Mr. Mayor, council members, for the record, Donaldson Hearing here tonight on behalf of Minto PBLH LLC. Ms. Catherine Rosmell with Lewis Longman and Walker is also here with us. I'll try not to be overly redundant, but I think that Osnald did a good job walking you through the technical requirements of the code. The purpose of this is so that we can incorporate 2 additional products into Lake. The first is a paired villa, which is an attached single-family home, and I'll go through that. And the second is a cottage home, which is a type of attached single-family home. And these are 2 products that are not new to the Minto family. So we've done just many, many successful paired villa communities. Most recently is the Town Park community, which is in Tradition. Very, very successful. Basically, it's in a duplex configuration. The second is a cottage home, and this product was introduced to the Minto's premier project over on the West Coast, the Isles of Collier Preserve. Very, very successful. It provides a great alternative, different housing diversity, and I'll walk you through that product as well. As Osnil had pointed out, there's 3 sections of code that are being updated. One was the definition, so that was the incorporation of a definition of the cottage home. The second was minimum standards, which is a land development or platting or engineering standard, where we're providing a more specific provision for utilizing an access easement and a common drive to serve up to 8 units. And then the third is just amending the property development regulations for the R1 and R2 district, just 2 tables there that we are amending. So the paired villa is a duplex product. It's done in a Z form of design or subdivision that provides greater creativity and greater curb appeal. That's why it's done. It was introduced many years ago, started in the West Coast, and ultimately made it to Florida. And so a little graphic of the paired villa is on the table or on the screen. You can see a Z lot, and what that does is it just enables better bedrooms, more lights in the bedrooms, and basically enables us to have a better streetscape. It produces better streetscape. One unit is a side entry, and the other home is a front entry. We'd have different styles of architecture and elevation. Very, very nice, very, very successful product. So it's in a Z lot and has curb appeal. Oops, I'm going backwards. I'm sorry. Hitting the wrong button. Here's some images from other communities where the paired villa has been utilized. So you can see on the left the front entrance. The style of the architecture will be very much so consistent with the Westlake centric flavor, with outriggers and the coastal vernacular that Minto's so nicely been able to deliver in the fenestration. So very, very nice unit, been very, very successful. It's single story, so it appeals to a lot of people, master down, and just a right-sized unit. And one more view of the paired villa. The second product is the cottage home, which is really just an innovative approach to an attached single family in a 2-unit configuration. We typically put 4 2-unit buildings kind of organized together. So there's a total of 8 units, and they're accessed from a private drive from the rear of the home. So the garages are shielded from the street. They don't take over the street. And the fronts of the home, the front door engages either a street, a green, or a pedestrian muse. So in the world of traditional neighborhood design, that's called eyes on the street. The porches are on the street. People live on the street. And so it really does create a lot of social engagement, which is a great benefit to the product type. And I'll walk you through what that looks like from a site plan perspective. So this is just a typical block configuration. We typically take these groupings, 4 groups of 8 homes and cluster them together and then attach them to a green with a series of mews and sidewalks that provide access. They're accessed from a private drive or easement in the rear of the homes. Every home has a 2-car garage. So every home has a 2-car garage. Every home has an additional parking space for guests, and then we provide guest parking on the street. The homes range in size from about 1,350 square feet AC up to about 1,950 square feet, single story, and really, create a great alternative housing opportunity. So, typically what we've seen at the Isles is that the buyer is often a retired buyer, not working, don't have, they've downsized, don't need so much space. Often, a single man or a widower or a single mom, just to right size. They're great units and they live onto the street. And I'll show you some of the pictures of what we have. So this is a typical cottage home. Again, they're either on the street or on a green. And this one is fronting the street. So the front door is right on the street. In this case, the porch that is off to the left there is actually on a pedestrian mew. So it has like 2 frontages in this particular home, and then the garages and parking area are in the back. So all you see along the street is a great streetscape, right? Lots of street trees, a lot of great landscaping. Of course, this is not Westlake landscaping here. It doesn't have the Don Hearing touch on it. So I can trust you that it will, we're really serious about what we do with landscape. Here's another design, kind of how a couple of units come together on a pedestrian mews. And again, and so people live on the street. And so what we have found that is, in these little communities that are being developed or clusters of 8, everybody knows everybody, so who your neighbor is, and if she's out of town and you haven't seen her for a week, that maybe something's wrong or if they're sick. So it really creates a great sense of community. So we're really excited about introducing this. It provides a great price point, but also a great diversity of housing. And so, when you're ready to downsize, you don't want to leave the community, you can come and look at a cottage home. So we're really excited about the product that we're introducing. So with this, we're looking at making some modifications to that property development regulation table for the R1 and the R2. First in dealing with lot coverage, because these are organized together and they're clustered, or lot coverage for a couple of the units is higher than what the current minimum is. The current minimum is 60%. We go up as high as 62%. We've suggested in the code that we're using a round number of 65%. But you can see in the average, when you look at them, actually, if you were to look at the cluster of 8 together, it's actually well below. And then in the pervious area, when we originally drafted the code, Ms. Rosmell and Ms. Dewey and we had originally had intended that the pervious area for lots not be regulated on a lot basis, but on a parcel basis. And unfortunately, it got determined that a parcel was a lot, the same as a lot. So we're rewriting that definition. We're still suggesting that the pervious area on a parcel would be 25%, but we're asking that the pervious area on an individual lot be defined at 20%. And it is 20% in the R2 district, but it is not 20% in the R1 district. So we're just making that consistent and making that easy. In the past, like the terraces and other communities, we have actually been granted waivers by the city manager because it doesn't occur on every unit. It occurs on some units. And so it becomes very, very laborsome for your city manager to have to grant a waiver on a case after case basis when we can just fix the code to make the code work for what we want to do. So what we've done, we've actually made the code produce a higher pervious standard because we're saying it's now 25% of a parcel defined as the master site plan or site plan, whichever is applicable. So it actually will create a higher standard. So just a quick example, I did a quick run through and on the terraces, phase 3 of the terraces. Now that is the downtown mixed use district, but it would be allowed in any of these districts. But if it were the R1 district, in that particular case, the total parcel is a little bit over 22 acres, and we have 15 acres of lots. The lots, less the roads, less the lakes, 15 acres of lots. So under the current code, if I was required 25% pervious area, it'd be about 3.3 acres. But if I have to do 25% of the entire parcel, it ends up being 5.5 acres. So the net result is we're creating a more stringent standard, higher than the existing code. So the difference is about 1.78 times, 5.5 acres versus 3.3 acres, just so you can see it's actually creating a higher standard, which was really the intent of the code in the early days. So these are the 3 code sections. Definition of a cottage home, I won't reread that again. Osno read it word for word. The creation of the common driveway or access easement serving up to 8 units. Again, just clarifying a clarity in the code. Currently, the terraces is very, very similar. There we do it from a tract as opposed to an easement. An easement serves the same purpose. But the easement is more applicable in what we're doing because we're using pavers and making it more decorative. And then the changes to the code as section itself, the specific, the minimum lot coverage in the R1 district for both the single family attached and cottage home would be 20%. But then the minimum pervious area of the parcel or master site plan would be 25%. And then we're establishing the maximum lot coverage for the cottage home only at 65%. And then on the R2 table, same regs for the cottage home. We do confirm that if there are 2 units here side by side, that they would have a 5-foot setback because the code, as it's read right now, I mean, an attached single family, I think it can be up to 8 consolidated homes. 8 consolidated, so it's thinking of like a multifamily building and you'd want separation between a building. These are just duplexes and more like our single family homes. So we're using a similar setback there and then the maximum lot coverage. And that's it. So we're asking for those modifications. We appreciate your consideration and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have, Mr. Mayor.
I have a few to start with. I'm sure my colleagues on the council have a couple as well. I'll just run through them. What pod are we considering putting these cottage homes? Is that west of Seminole Pratt?
It could be on any of the vacant land that remains. More likely you've got the parcel kind of in the very northeast, where the northwest corner of on Seminole Pratt Whitney of kind of the east side. That's vacant now and likely is slated. Pardon? I think it's parcel F. Yeah, and then E is on the other side. And then the west side, there is parcel.
So where is to be determined?
Where is to be determined. It could be,
what are
and likely our thought is that they're integrated together, not that solid products. Not that they couldn't be, but that's.
Listen, I for one am very, very excited to see a new product. Yeah, I think that's going to be great. We've heard that a lot from our constituents. They want to see something different and new. And this seems to solve a lot of issues in terms of another affordable option, as well as just, another product to offer our future residents. So I think that's great. What's the square footage per unit?
The
range?
Well, the cottage homes range from 1,350 square feet plus the garage.
Is that 2 bedrooms?
Could be 2 bedrooms and a den. Most of those that I had seen have been 2 bedrooms, a great room, a kitchen and a
So
living space
1352.
and a porch. Every unit has a porch. The porch can be screened or unscreened, so some of those are options.
Okay, so 1350 to 1900 square feet.
Yes, sir.
Every single unit has a two-car garage.
Every single unit has a two-car garage.
And we're talking about two bedrooms and a den, to some have three bedrooms.
Some could have 3 bedrooms, yes, sir.
All right, all one story?
All one story.
Okay, great. Now, we don't have to go over the definition. If you could just quickly, for the purpose of the public and in layman's terms, again, definition is definition. Obviously, that's a change. There's 2 other changes that we're asking for. One is pervious versus impervious, 20-25%, and then the other is a setback. Can you just layman's term those for the purpose of the public?
Very, 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 I absolutely can.
Because you
So,
unpacked a lot there.
so the cottage home still is a single family attached product. So it meets the lot width, it meets the lot area, it meets the lot depth. All of those things are met. So lot coverage is the area of your building, including your porch, front covered porch and covered
Okay,
porch. Total, the percentage of that to the total land area. We're asking that to go from 60% to 65%.
got it.
And again, on average, there's only a few of the different units that would require it, but it's easier to regulate from a regulation perspective.
All right, so that's
Pervious area is basically
drainage.
green space that can drain. So it's not a lake. So a lake is beautiful open space, but it's not pervious area. It's not pervious pavers. It's green area that can drain and provide for drainage. And it's there for 2 reasons. We're regulated by the South Florida Water Management District
Okay.
for our overall pervious area, and the pervious percentage that's been modeled for all of Westlake is a minimum of 20%. So what we're doing is a little bit more conservative. And so what we're suggesting that be done so that there's a matter, there's some practicality to it, is that it'd be a minimum of 20% on the lot, but 25% of the overall parcel, which is a more stringent standard, because it gives homeowners some flexibility. I mean, the same.
And that was a matter of semantics in the code, right?
Right. The intent when Catherine and I wrote the code was it was the overall parcel, but the definition of parcel when parcel was written is any defined polygon. So we're defining that polygon as being the total land area of a master site plan or site plan.
Understood. Makes perfect sense.
So that clarifies that.
And then the only other question I have, and I'm going to go quick because I'm sure my other colleagues have some, is, and this is just and you probably can't answer, and maybe you can, this is like a 30,000 foot above look. So take the crossings, for instance. Initially, the landowner had placed rental restrictions, wouldn't allow you to rent those places out for a year. Do we have any idea what the intent is with these? And I think in the terraces, they allowed rentals, or maybe they didn't. I don't really know. Do we know where we land on that?
I do not. All I know is that Minto is extremely cautious and conservative when it comes to those areas. I can tell you that these are not being designed as rental communities.
That's what I want to hear.
That's not the way that they're being. These are not for rent communities, but
Beautiful.
I can't tell you
Understood.
where that would be.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
You're
Do
very
we have
welcome.
any comments from council? Questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Warner?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herring, for the presentation. And just for the record, I did meet with Mr. Herring last week and we went over many of these details. Osneal indicated that this is a privately initiated application.
Yes, sir.
Usually you have a nice completed application, which isn't in here. Did you complete an application?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm not sure why we don't have it. And you paid your fee?
Yes, sir. We certainly paid our fee.
Okay.
Wouldn't let us get away with not paying our fee.
Okay, good. When you presented this to the planning staff, did it include a site plan showing where it's going to be developed?
No, just these typical diagrams that I've provided to you.
Understood. So are you certain that there are no other waivers or deviations to the code besides these that you're asking for?
I am. We've
Okay.
looked at it very carefully and to avoid the waivers that we were granted in the past.
Okay, and I know that you have 2 parking spaces, or one, you said 1 guest parking space off the alley.
And our goal, our planning principle is to provide an additional quarter of space per unit on the street. And we could always add more if, the reality is this is not the type of, there aren't kids, you don't have multiple cars here. So based on our experience in Isles of Collier Preserve, that would be more than ample. And the streetscape is really, really important to us here. So we want to provide some, but we don't want to over park it in the Isles of Collier Preserve. We probably added more than we needed. And we've recognized that because it's not used and we could have more trees than parking area.
Okay, well, we can only take your word for it because we don't see any site plan.
I can
So
promise
when
you,
we
sir.
get to that point, maybe that'll be another question at that point.
Yes, sir.
That's it. I just have a question for staff.
Thank you very much.
Before we move on to your question for staff, do we have any more questions for the applicant from any of my colleagues on
Just
council?
one question. The driveways, are they going to be able to park 2 vehicles too, in addition to the 2?
No,
Or
so
the driveway
the driveways are not designed to accommodate cars parking behind them, and that's why we provided a guest parking to the side.
Okay.
So it's, but it is designed to accommodate 2 full-size cars.
Inside, okay.
So, sorry to interrupt. So every unit has 2 cars in the garage and 1 dedicated guest?
Well,
in
the
street?
it's not a dedicated, it's open guest. So we're generally opposed to the assignment of parking because that breaks down the field. So somebody might have park outside, some might have a guest, somebody not, but so there's 8 guest parking spaces within each court,
Plus street.
plus street parking.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
And you say plus street, but it doesn't include the alley.
It does not, you can't park in the alley.
Right, okay.
Yeah, you can't park in the alley. And when I say on-street parking, that's a designated on-street parking spaces, not like you park on the on-street on the single-family homes.
Any
So
other
it's
questions for
dedicated.
the applicant? No. All right, you had a question for
Yeah,
staff?
question for staff. Why do we not see the application form for this application?
It should be included in the package. I'm not sure why it's not, you don't have it, but
Okay, you can send that
typically,
along.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and in the future, if we could make sure we include those.
Sure thing, yes.
Thank you.
And a copy of the check.
We don't need to see a copy of the check.
We won't let you.
Any other questions for staff? I'm just moving this clock along, guys. We have 3 minutes to the next meeting, so, no? Okay, I'm gonna open up for public comment. Any? No, you gotta come up and state your name and address for the record. This is just for the Land Planning Association meeting. We're gonna have a real meeting next.
Oh, the land thing.
This is just for what this item is that we're just talking about, which is a code amendment. Anybody?
It has to be with land development.
We'll wait for the next meeting. I promise you'll have a great opportunity. Any other questions on the LPA ordinance 2025-06? No? Okay. Do we need a motion to recommend?
Yes, sir, but I'll introduce the title of the
Yeah, read
ordinance.
by title, please, and
Ordinance 2025-06, ordinance by title only, an ordinance of the City Council, of the City of Westlake, Florida, amending Chapter 119 of the city's Code of Ordinances entitled zoning, specifically amending Section 119-31 entitled residential districts under Article 2 entitled zoning districts and standards to establish additional standards and development regulations for cottage homes in the R1 and R2 zoning districts, and to reduce the minimum side yard setback to 5 feet for single-family attached units with no more than 2 attached units, providing for codification, conflict, severability, and effective date.
Counselor, for the LPA meeting, do we disclose ex parte?
No, sir. It's not
Okay.
not a
And
quasi judicial.
I need a motion.
I'll move approval of ordinance number 2025-06 as proposed.
We have a motion by Councilman Werner, seconded by Councilwoman Leonard. Roll call, Councilwoman Leonard.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Werner.
Yes.
Councilman Gleason.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, on that note, with a few seconds to spare, I will adjourn at 5:59 PM.